All right, so now we are going to fill in the rest of our keyframes for our animation. So we are going to place a keyframe every 12 frames. So to start, let's select frame 12, and we are going to hold Shift and select all the layers of frame 12. Then we will come over here and we will press the Insert Keyframe button. And this will allow us to create a pose that it will adjust to and transition to in these other frames. So on frame 12, we are going to be making our first passing pose. This front leg that was just taking a step is going to come down and be vertical underneath the torso, like that. Then we are going to take the foot and rotate it so it's flat against the ground. This is the leg straightening out and supporting the weight of the character. Now we are going to take the left leg. We are going to bring it forward like this so that it is very bent behind the vertical leg because it is coming forward and it is passing behind it. And we're also just going to adjust this foot a little bit so that it will follow the flow of motion. So I'm just going to make it a little more flat. And so here we have sort of this crane position, and that's what we're looking for. Now for the arms, because they are swinging and we're at sort of this midpoint of motion, they are going to come down and be pretty much right over our torso. So this is going to be swinging down this way. This front arm will be swinging down in front of the torso and sort of straightening out. I'm still keeping this wrist bent because it's following that flow of motion. And then for our left arm, that's going to be swinging forward. So we'll gently bring it forward towards the torso and sort of overlap it. And I like to leave a little bit still showing so that we don't lose it completely behind the character. But if we scrub that, then we can see it's now flowing into this step. We will select our torso and head layer, and for this pose we are going to bring the head up a little bit from where it was dipping down. Now that we've made contact and we're pressing down into the floor, we're lifting the head back up a little bit. Now we will move on to our back contact point frame. This is going to be 12 frames later at frame 24. So once again, we will hold Shift and select all the layers for frame 24 and insert a keyframe. Lucky for us, it is actually the direct opposite of our first and last frames. So at frame 24, we will just be making our limbs go the opposite direction, but still following this sort of pose. So to do that, one way that we can make it easier on ourselves is we can select this button right here. This is onion skin, which basically allows you to see some of your past frames. And if you just click on this, it can look kind of crazy. You start adjusting it, whoa, that's a lot of frames. We don't need to see all of that. So to make this easier on ourselves, we're going to hold down on the onion skin button and scroll to Advanced Settings. And here, I want to be able to see our first frame. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already unlinked this. Most likely, this will be linked in your settings. But go ahead and unlink the blue and green sections. And in the blue section, which will show us the frames before the one we've selected, we're going to go ahead and type 23 because we don't want to see all the way to the first frame. But we don't need to see any of the frames afterwards, so we'll go ahead and put 0. But because there's still so many frames that we don't need to see, we're going to restrict this to show keyframes only. Now this only shows us where our keyframes are and where the limbs are positioned on those frames. So as you can see, this frame right here where it's sort of extending outward more, that is our first frame that we are going to mimic on the opposite limbs. So I'm going to first take my front leg and I am going to rotate it backwards. And I'm going to make it match up right with that phantom leg and tilt the foot that way as well. Our back leg, we are going to pull forward and see I'm matching it up to this phantom leg right here that was our right leg. And I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, just something similar to what we had. And then I'll angle this down a little bit like I had on the other leg so that it looks like our clown is stepping. Then we will take the front arm and we're going to swing it backwards to be where our back arm was. And I'm going to just keep the wrist the way it is. And then for our left arm, it kind of got buried here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of our front arm just for a second so that I can pull this left arm forward. But then I do want to see where the right arm was. So I'll go ahead and make it visible again. And there we go. I'll position it where the right arm was. And another benefit of this is that we can also see where our head was tilted. So since we are doing another one of these contact poses, we are going to want to tilt the head forward again. So I'll just go ahead and gently line it up so that it matches where it was in the first frame. And now if we scrub, we can see we have a step. Our next and final pose is the second passing pose. And this is going to be at frame 36. I'm just going to hold shift and insert my keyframe again. Now we are going to do the opposite of what was at frame 12. As you can see, the back leg sort of gets hidden behind the front. So to sort of work around this, I'm just going to move this front leg ridiculously forward so that it's up and out of the way. Just makes things easier for me as I'm trying to look at this back leg. So now that we can see our back leg, we are going to position it straight up and down, just like we did to the right leg on frame 12. And as you can see, I have my onion skin still activated, so I can see exactly where it was. Now it doesn't have to be exact, but it looks nice if it's all very cohesive. Let's go back to our front leg, which is now going to be in the passing position. So as you can see, we lined our back leg up very high like this, very high. And we tilted it so that it was very bent like that, and our foot was sort of flattened and coming forward. We're bringing this line of motion forward, but this time with our front leg because it's coming back to the front. Now that we've positioned our legs, let's take a look at our arms. So our arms are a swingin', but since it's a passing pose, just like before, we're going to have them pretty near and dear to the torso. If you can see, back there is the remnants of our back arm on frame 12. It's hugging the torso, but it's still visible. So we're just going to move this arm in that position so that it's pretty much in the same spot. Perfect. And now we're going to take our back arm. Oh, but it's hidden way back there. So to get to it, I'm going to briefly get rid of the torso and get rid of our front arm. And I'm just gonna bring it forward so that we can see our back arm. Then I'll go ahead and activate these again. And I will move it into, this time I'm not going to exactly mirror what I did on the other arm because it would be completely hidden back there. So I'm just going to leave a little bit sticking out. So it's almost in the exact position, but not quite. We still see a little bit right there. Once again, we're going to go to our torso and head, and we're going to tilt this back upwards. And luckily, the onion skin is allowing us to see where it was. Tilt that back up since we've made contact with the ground again. And if we scrub, I'm gonna get rid of the onion skin because we have just completed our walk cycle. Now, scrubbing is one way to view what we've done, but the best way to get a good look at what our animation looks like without exporting it is to press this button right here. This is the loop button. And mine automatically went to there, but more than likely when you press that button, it's only going to highlight a few of your frames. Just won't help us at all. So instead, we are going to drag this selection till it's all the way across our animation, and then we can press play. And there is our character walking, and she'll just keep going because we've successfully made our loop. Now, this is also a good time to see if there are any awkward positions that you may have made. I like how our clown is running. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and pause that. And I'm going to come up here to File, Export. And we're going to export it as an animated GIF. In this optimized form, I've got it selected to where we've got 32 colors. And I think this will be pretty good because we've stuck to some pretty basic colors. I also have placed it on no dither. That will significantly decrease your file size as well. But now that we have our animation, let's go ahead and preview it. And there she is. She's running. Look at her go. So now that we have confirmed that it is working as we want it to, and that it's a good enough file size, this is pretty good compared to other ones I've done. We're going to go ahead and save it, and we're done. We have successfully made an animated walk cycle.